Erika Kirk, Weaponize the Children. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. The relationship between the narcissist and a child is one which perhaps provides a multiplicity of options with regard to understanding so much about narcissism and the narcissistic dynamic. The relationship could result in the creation of another narcissist, the genetic predisposition being passed on, and the child being subjected to a lack of control environment, which is often found by being the child of a narcissist, and thus the child is doomed to become a narcissist themselves. In some instances, as a consequence of intervening factors or an alteration in the genetic predisposition, an empath is created, most usually super or codependent, as a consequence of continued involvement with a parental narcissist. Even where an empath isn't created, the child of the narcissist is invariably subjected to problematic behavior through their childhood and even as an adult. And the number of ACONs, adult child of narcissists, that I have spoken to through consultation, and those that comment on my videos and on my blog, bear testament to the long-standing impact that the narcissist has upon a child. But what is the child to the narcissist? Well, as I've explained elsewhere, the child is simply a little mirror, a prop. They, like any other person, are an appliance, there to be utilized by the narcissist. But particularly with regard to a child, the narcissist invariably finds it easy to control that child because, after all, they are a child who is physically inferior, particularly reliant at a young age upon the parent for the provision of food and drink, warmth, comfort, clothing, entertainment, soothing, and so forth. This means that the child has no option other than to remain with that parent. The child provides fuel. It varies with regard to output, but the child is often particularly useful to the adult narcissist by virtue of using them as a prop with regard to their interactions with other people. For example, a key and noted one is triangulating the child with another child, typically in the golden child scapegoat dynamic that occurs. In other instances, triangulating the child with the other spouse, with other extended members of the family. In other instances, the narcissist will use the child to make them look good. And this is common amongst mid-range narcissists who don't allow their children to be children, but instead utilize them as props for the greater glorification of the image of the narcissist. Naturally, with the mid-range narcissist, they are unaware narcissists, so they do not know that that is why they are using the child in that way. They do not recognize, for the narcissism does not allow them to recognize, that they are using that child to control other people, to draw fuel by way of reactions. Oh, you're such a good mother, or you're a fabulous father. To allow them to present to the outside world a facade of being a kind and decent parent. Now, it is the case that certain narcissists will provide well for their children, but once again it's self-serving. They believe they're doing it because they love the child, but we know that because they are a narcissist, they are incapable of loving that child because they have no emotional empathy. They can emulate the appearance of love, but their interactions and use of that child is all self-serving because it relates to the prime aims. And one of the common things that you will see with certain narcissists, particularly those that are famous, is that the children are used to be pushed out in front of the public against their will, with no due care or consideration for whether they want to be used in this way. Notable examples, for instance, Katie Price, the car crash narcissist who I've featured on numerous occasions, and the way that she uses her disabled son, Harvey. This one's wife, utilising her children, Archie and Lilibet. Hilaria Baldwin, utilising her brood, many of them that exist, and there are plenty of other examples besides. These narcissists think that they're doing a good thing, but the children aren't asked as to whether they want to be used in this way. They are just utilised as the little props and puppets that the narcissist subconsciously sees them as. And Erika Kirk is no exception. There is a piece of video footage. I've decided against sharing it because I don't think that it actually serves any particular purpose, and also if you show children in a video, it can be problematic with regard to YouTube. So on balance, I thought that it was unnecessary. You've probably seen it, and if you want to find it, it's easy enough to find on X. It is an overhead shot which shows the two children of Charlie and Erika Kirk. Most of the time, you see the top of the head of the young boy in his cot, in his crib, and you can hear his older sister, who I think is around about 3 years old, singing to him. Now, on the face of it, this appears like a very sweet scene between sister and brother that's been caught on the nanny cam and then has been taken and placed in the outside world. This is a private moment. It's unlikely that either child know that they're being filmed. It's certainly the case that neither child knows that their interaction has now been placed on the internet for the world to see. Who put it there? Well, in various instances, it's been explained that Erika Kirk has placed it on social media. It's been reported as Charlie Kirk's daughter singing Jesus Loves Me to her younger brother, just as Charlie used to sing to her. Erika Kirk states, "I see you alive," meaning Charlie, "in our babies, especially at night. I remember walking into her room and hearing both of you singing Jesus Loves Me as she falls asleep. My heart would melt. Seeing you in dad mode was my favourite. And now she sings it for her baby brother as she puts him to bed every night. Her voice now carries both you and her in one. And in this moment, when I witness this every night on the monitor, heaven feels even closer." Well, first of all, you'd have to wonder, why is a 3-year-old putting a 1-year-old to bed? Shouldn't that be what mother's doing rather than sitting and watching on the monitor? But fine for her to go and sing to her brother, but it's not her role to put him to bed. Anyway, leaving that to one side, there'll be those that do not understand the provenance of what Erika Kirk is, who will simply say this is really sweet, that it's part of her religious belief and a sweet family moment. Well, to the uninitiated, on the face of it, that's what it does indeed look like. And it's certainly a sweet interaction that takes place between sister and brother. But the fact is that Erika Kirk then takes this interaction, utilising her children, and then weaponises it vis-à-vis the prime aims. She doesn't consciously do this. She doesn't think to herself, I need to assert control over an audience at large and draw fuel from them by way of my lifeblood. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some footage of my two children together, and irrespective of whether they would allow me to do it or not, I'm going to stick it on the internet with some text about what's going on and how wonderful that all is. That'll make people think that I'm a brilliant and kind mother. Their hearts will melt for me. I'll receive sympathy by way of fuel. It'll manage my facade. That's all great and good. That's what I'm going to do. No, she doesn't think with that level of clarity or cynicism because she's unaware. Instead, her narcissism causes her to believe this is a nice thing to do. It's a sweet thing to do. What a lovely act between sister and brother, that the spirit of Charlie lives on. And I want people to know about this because I think they ought to know about this. So I want to share this lovely moment involving my children and the memory of Charlie and how he lives on by sharing it with everybody. That's what the narcissism causes her to think, to motivate her to get to the prime aims. It is not a conscious exploitation by her because she's blinded to what she is. She, in effect, is duped by her own narcissism into believing that she's doing something kind and caring and sweet. The reality is, because we know what she is, we know that this is only a self-serving act, that it's not done for the benefit of the memory of Charlie Kirk or because it's sweet. That's just the layer on top. Break through that layer and you will understand that the real reason it's being done, the subconscious reason that it's being done, because it involves a narcissist, is control of the audience, amplification through social media, receipt of fuel by way of people's reactions, management of facade as people all go, "Ah, how lovely." Ultimately, it is a cynical, albeit subconscious exploitation of children. They did not ask to be utilised in this way. They did not provide consent for the footage of them. Whilst you can't see their faces, nevertheless, you can still see that they are children. They didn't agree to being splashed all over the internet. They didn't agree to have people commenting upon it, both positively and critically. They didn't agree, for example, for your glorious narrator to analyse what's gone on in relation to this footage. But once again, it demonstrates the necessity of living life through a public lens that many famous narcissists do, and even ones which are less famous, because by putting everything out there, it enables them to get to the prime aims. In the way that this one's wife has to ensure that she's photographed volunteering at our big kitchen, in the way that Hilaria Baldwin has to be witnessed on a show talking about her life, in the way that Chrissy Teigen needs to tell you that she had a miscarriage stroke abortion, she's still not sure which one it was. Many things that should remain private, that should remain intimate, that should remain away from the eyes of the world are shared because they're being shared by people who are narcissists. If you are left wondering at the behaviour of someone who is relatively famous, why do they keep putting this stuff out there? It is because their narcissism demands it. By sharing it, it allows them to assert control over an audience, to draw fuel by way of those reactions. In some instances, to manage a facade. In other instances, to make money from it. That's what drives the behaviour. For most of them, they don't realise that that's why they're doing it, because they're unaware narcissists. And particularly so, certain narcissists will weaponise their children in the pursuit of the prime aims, once again driven by their own self-interest, as is the case with Erika Kirk. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.